everyone, welcome to the Grilling Show. I'm Liz Burrell, and today we are going to be doing a beautiful holiday prime rib that's mouth-watering to even think about, right? We're also going to be doing gorgeous sautéed mushrooms and prosciutto wrapped asparagus with balsamic glaze, and of course, all on the big green egg. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so today we have half of a ribeye loin here, and I have trimmed it so that the silver skin is, or most of the silver skin is not on here, as we all know, not edible, doesn't break down. So I have taken the liberty of taking our ribs off of our ribeye loin. Now, you do want to do that. This just adds a lot of flavor, and then of course you can enjoy the delectable delights of the ribs. So we are going to start here, and I am actually going to use Dijon mustard as my binder. I want a really, really good crust on this prime rib. We are going to be serving it with an au jus, hence our roasting pan and rib rack that we'll be using. So we are going to season this with our steakhouse seasoning, and then we're going to make a horseradish sauce with orange juice and orange zest. Sounds really good, doesn't it? Makes you want to make it today, but no, you need to save it for the holidays. All right, now we are going to do the same thing to our ribs. And we're seasoning this because I want seasoning between the ribs and the meat. Now, not only does this add a lot of flavor from the bones, but we're also going to put them on the bottom so it protects the meat from the heat and we get a good even cook. All right, now we're going to take our big green egg classic steakhouse seasoning, and we are going to be pretty liberal with this because, like I said, I want a pretty good crust. Now you could also use our ancho chili and coffee seasoning to do this. I've done that too, and it is just as delicious. But I do love this classic steakhouse seasoning because you really don't, there's no salt. You don't need to add anything else but this seasoning. It's got a lot of salt and it flavors your meat perfectly. All right, so we are looking good. I'm going to save this last little bit of extra seasoning for after we truss our meat. So we are going to put our ribs back in the spot that we cut them off of. Now, if you don't want to do this at home, you can go to a local butcher and ask them to remove the ribs for you, and usually they'll truss it for you as well. So we are going to start by tying off here. Now there's a lot of ways to do this. You just have to pick which one you like the best. And what this is doing is it's holding the bones to the meat. And if you've cooked a ribeye steak before, sometimes they come apart because of all of the fat, which is great, but you don't want that happening when you're doing your prime rib. We want all of that flavor, and we want the shape to stay and make a beautiful holiday dinner. Now, of course, you can do this with an entire ribeye loin. You can do it without the bone. It's going to be exactly the same. I prefer this way, but it's up to you and what you can find at your local butcher. Okay, all right, so there we have it. That's perfect. And now we are going to put it in our wonderful roasting pan. Now, I have already added some beef broth to the bottom of our roasting pan, as well as some Worcestershire sauce, red wine, and salt. So we're going to put this in bone side down. And then I'm going to add the rest of our seasoning just in case any of it came off. And of course, you know, get a little bit in that beef broth at the bottom because that's going to be our au jus. So we are about to put our prime rib on the big green egg. Now we do have mushrooms to cook and we do have prosciutto wrapped asparagus to cook. So this is going to take a couple hours. We're going to be cooking between 300 and 350 degrees. We are doing a reverse sear. So about an hour before we are done, before we hit 130 degrees internal temperature, give or take, you want to go ahead and put your mushrooms on. Our sauteed mushrooms are going to be beef broth, Worcestershire sauce, red wine, salt, pepper, onions, and garlic, and of course, mushrooms. So we'll put those on. They're going to take about an hour to saute. And then we are going to remove one of our baking stones and we are going to sear the prime rib on that side while our asparagus cooks on the indirect side. So let's go ahead and get this on so we can get to searing. All right, so now it is time to take our prime rib off and remove one baking stone, and then we're going to put our mushrooms on the other side. Look how beautiful that is. All right, let's take one stone out. Make sure you put it in a safe place. All right, and we are going to add our mushrooms over here. And then we're going to get our silicone gloves out because you don't want to pick up meat with the mitts. And we're going to take this beautiful prime rib. I'm going to put it directly on the grill. Of course, we're going to flip it just a few minutes, but we do want to make sure that we get a good char on it. Now, as far as our au jus, we're going to let it sit for just a second and then put it into a cup for dipping. All right, so it is time to flip our prime rib, and we're going to stir our mushrooms and see where we're at. We are looking good. We do have a beautiful crust. So our mushrooms are looking good. We're going to let our prime rib sear for just a second more. And now while we're waiting on that, we are going to make our horseradish sauce. So we've got some sour cream here. And we are going to take our horseradish. And you can put as little or as a lot of this as you want. Just depends on how much horseradish flavor you like. I actually like a good bit of it, so we're going to give that a nice stir. Now we're going to add some orange juice and some orange zest. Perfect. 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 All right, so it's time to take our prime rib off the egg. It has been searing now for a few minutes. And it is absolutely beautiful. Look at that sizzle and that gorgeous crust. Perfect. Now we're going to let that rest. But in the meantime, I'm going to move my mushrooms over to the side here. And we are going to put our asparagus on. Now these don't take very long. You just want the asparagus to be soft and kind of turn that really bright, beautiful green color. All right, now we'll give that a few minutes. We'll come back and we will slice our prime rib and plate it. All right, so we have rested our prime rib. We're gonna cut these strings off. It smells heavenly. All right. So we're gonna take our ribs here first. Just gonna give them a nice cut. Beautiful, really, really nice. And now we're just gonna make some pretty big slices here on our prime rib. Beautiful. How pretty is that? All right. Gorgeous. Okay, now we are going to take our asparagus off and our mushrooms and go ahead and plate. Our mushrooms are looking really good. Of course, they smell delicious. Get our gorgeous asparagus here. All right, we have our horseradish sauce and of course our au jus and our beautiful sauteed mushrooms. So this was my recipe for a holiday prime rib with sauteed mushrooms, prosciutto wrapped asparagus with balsamic glaze. Catch us next time here at the Grilling Show when we've got something new in store for you.
There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated. Grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Visit BigGreenEgg.com.